Hello everyone, how are you all? Today we are going to be giving you 8 random Edinburgh facts to impress your friends with. And this is inspired by you lot. It's inspired by you lot because so many times I get messages in the comment sections going, totally impressed my friends with this fact. Took my family to Edinburgh and they wondered how I knew all these things. So this was inspired by countless, probably one of the comments that I get most on all the videos is, oh, my family wondered how I knew all this. Oh, I just moved to Edinburgh and my Scottish cousin wondered how I knew more than all these sort of things, which I love, which I absolutely love. So that's what we've got. I'm going to give you some of these you might know if you've watched a lot of the videos, because I've been going for 5 years. If you've watched a lot of the videos, you might have seen some of these before. But if you're fairly new, then these are good ones for you to have when you come to visit. So it's great to impress your friends and family, and especially if you're not from here. And then your Scottish cousin or Edinburgh uncle decides to take you around Edinburgh and you're able to give them more facts than they have. That's always fun. Okay, before we get started, hit subscribe. Go and do it now. Did you do it? Because we're just over 100 subscribers away from 15,000. Hit that button. Anyway, fact number 1. This is the bottom of the Royal Mile. Just to my left there is the Scottish Parliament. There is Salisbury Crags in Holyrood Park. And speaking of Holyrood, right behind me there is Holyrood Palace. But despite all of this, the Royal Mile, named because it's a mile long, but it's not. Well, it is, but it's not. It's not what you would call a mile. It's not what we all know as a standardised mile. It's actually an Old Scots mile, which is 200 yards bigger than your standard mile, your standardised mile, which is what we all measure nowadays. So this is actually 200 yards longer than what we would count as a standardised mile. Now I suppose it kind of counts as well as where do you count the start from and where do you count the bottom from. I would assume the start is where the Castle Esplanade finishes, that line where the Castle Esplanade becomes the Royal Mile, probably about here. Or possibly the end of the start of the roundabout there. I don't know. But it is actually, when they built it, 200 yards bigger than the standard mile, which begs the question, when this was built, did they then go, right, well, why don't we take the top of that to the bottom of that and call that a mile? So, is it a chicken and the egg situation? Is this 200 yards bigger than a standard mile, because when it was built they said, okay, that is now a Scots mile? Or was it built and then they went, oh, that just happens to be the length of a Scots mile? Which came first? I think probably that set it. I think that seems more. Anyway, random fact, Royal Mile is actually 200 yards longer than a standard mile because it's a Scots mile. Number 2, this guy. Where is he? This guy. Edinburgh was the birthplace of the first municipal fire brigade. Now, there were fire brigades before. I think the Greeks or the Romans had fire brigades, and Edinburgh definitely had an insurance fire brigade where you could insure your building and that insurance company would have people that would come out and put out the fire. Excuse me. But the first municipal fire brigade was created by this, and this is the first municipal fire brigade anywhere in the world as we know them today. It was created by this guy, James Braidwood, who was born in 1800 and died in 1861. So by quick mathematician, he died at 61 years old, or possibly 60, or possibly 62, depending on when his birthday was. Yeah? Maybe not 62. But definitely 60 or 61. So yeah, and he started the first fire brigade. So yeah, this guy right here. the 1st Fire Brigade, founded in 1824, which then went on to fight the Great Fire of Edinburgh, which essentially took out this entire block, which I know you can't really see, I'm right up next to the building, but all the way down the Royal Mile there, down to the Tron Kirk, it almost took all that. It took days to put out. But yes, set up by this guy, who then went down to London and set up the 1st Fire Brigade there, which then had to fight the Great Fire of London. So this guy comes along, sets up a fire brigade, and then we have the Great Fire of Edinburgh, and then he goes out to London, sets up a fire brigade, and then they have the Great Fire of London. I'm sure it's a coincidence. I'm sure you all know as well, I'm sure I've said it many, many times. Oh, this is number 3, by the way. I'm sure you all know that Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland, but it wasn't always the capital of Scotland. It only became the capital of Scotland in 1437. So that's what, almost 20 to 3. But yeah, so it's not always been the capital city. It moved to here in 1437. So that means mental math again. It's only been the capital city for 586 years. It's just a baby. How long's your capital city been a capital city? 586 years. Before that, it was over in Fife. But now, it's right here. Well, we couldn't do a list without coming up here, could we? And here we are. The beauty. My castle. Edinburgh Castle. Yeah. But did you know that Edinburgh Castle, or Castle Rock, which is what we're standing on right now, is an extinct volcano? As is, if I can go around here, Arthur's Seat, which you should be able to see from the castle esplanade. Where is it? Where is it? Can't see it for these buildings. There it is. Peek around the corner there. There it is. There's Arthur's Seat. Right there. See there? Anyway, you're standing on the top of a volcano when you come to see Edinburgh Castle, and this volcano erupted for the last time 340 million years ago. That's a long time. That's a long, long time, so it's probably well overdue. I think we're okay for a little while. There we go, there's another one. What was that? That's 4. Well, here, will we do a 5th one? Yeah, okay. Edinburgh Castle used to be the home of an elephant. Yeah, you wouldn't guess it, but this magnificent splendour of a building was the home of an elephant in 1836 after a posting in Sri Lanka, and the soldiers, I would assume, came back and brought an elephant. They brought the elephant with them, who lived in the castle and actually became the head of the infantry marching band. Now, it was a different time. It was a different time, and obviously nowadays I would hope that nowhere would say, let's bring this animal back with us. I have no doubt they looked after it, because it's the military. They look after their animals. They always have around the world. But forgetting why the elephant came here, I can just see the elephant. Remember Robin Hood? Disney's Robin Hood. And the elephants had the da, 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 da. Give it up, 2, 3, 4. Give it up, 2, 3. That's what they were like. It's exactly what they were like. In fact, that's where Disney got the inspiration. From the elephant that was head of the municipal marching band, infantry marching band, sorry. It's because I said municipal with the fire brigade and that big words in my head. Living here at Edinburgh Castle, I don't know how long it lived for or when it died, but it was there. Number 6, Edinburgh's electric blanket. Right there. That's the mound. And you know, when I always double check my facts, although I've known this one for a long time. And it said the mound is a fake hill. It's a real hill. It was just manufactured. I don't know if you can call it a fake hill, but anyway, it was created from the mound of rubbish, or the mound of ground that was being excavated when they were creating the new town, hence the mound. And then they went, well, that's a handy route, and they put a road on it. Anyway, that's the bonus fact. Bonus fact, but now the actual fact. That has got the largest electric blanket in the world underneath it. 1959, they built essentially an electric blanket because it was a steep hill, and you have to remember back then winters were harsher than they are now. We're not even going back 100 years, but winters were a lot harsher. So when that got covered in ice, nothing could get up it. The footpath, roads, everything, it was awful. So they designed and built an electric blanket that goes underneath the mound, all the way down. And over there, round about there, just in there, it's in that bit anyway, somewhere, I'm not exactly 100% where, but it's in there. It's a little door where you can open, and all the workings to switch it on are still there. But they don't switch it on. They never switch it on. In fact, they didn't switch it on very often at all when they did use it. And can anyone guess why? Again, very apt for just now. It's too expensive. It's too expensive to run. So they didn't do it. But there you have the world's biggest electric blanket underneath a road on a hill in a city where I live. Number 7. And number 7 is back to Edinburgh Castle, but I've moved away from Edinburgh Castle to make the point of number 7. So there's Edinburgh Castle up there on the top of Castle Rock, which is a volcano that has went off for 340 million years. Just saying. It's a castle, and probably similar to most castles around the world, people have tried to siege it. People have tried to take it, and I think it's a few times people have tried to take Edinburgh Castle. But it is a broad castle, and it is on top of a big rock. In fairness, it has got a big road going up the length of a mile, but a Scots mile to it. So there is there's a way you could walk up to it, but they'd probably see you coming a mile down the road, a Scots mile down the road. But let me remember the year. In 1715, I'm trying to keep it in the shot so it looks nice. In 1715, the Jacobites tried to take Edinburgh Castle, and they came in their hundreds? I don't know, I wasn't there. But yeah, 1715, so about 5:15. They came to take the castle, but they couldn't. They couldn't. And do you want to know why they couldn't? Yes, of course you do. That's why you're watching the video. Because they brought ladders, and the ladders were too short. I'm not kidding. Look it up. They brought ladders. They built ladders. They said, let's bring ladders. Let's bring ladders, and we'll go up the side. They'll never see us coming, because they'll be looking down the road. Plus, it's quite steep. I suppose you couldn't exactly see down, but they must have seen. I can't imagine they came from this side, because this would have been the Norloch, possibly at the time. So it could have been the other side, which is still quite steep, or it could have been the back end. Either way, it's still on top of that hill. But yeah, they brought ladders, and yeah, they didn't quite get up far enough. I don't know how big the ladders were. I can't imagine they would, I don't imagine they had extendable ladders back then, or I can't even picture how big the ladders were, but however big they weren't big enough, because they couldn't get up the hill. That was number 7. And number 8, last but by no means least, and I have deliberately, it's almost like I planned the video, make it up as I go along. Edinburgh is the greenest city in the world. Look at all that green, loads of green, green everywhere. Edinburgh has 112, roughly, parks in it. 112 different parks, making it the greenest city in the world. And when I say green, I mean, green areas. green areas. Officially, it's official, you can look that up as well. And it has more trees per head, and I'm assuming that fact means how many people live in Edinburgh. More trees per head than any other city in the country. I don't know if that's the world, but I do know in the country there is more trees per head. I don't know how many trees per head though. I don't know if 4 of these trees count for me or 12 of these trees count for me, but I know some of these trees count for me, and there's more trees that count for me than counts for you, unless you live here, in which case you've got the same amount of trees as I do. So there you have it. There you have it. 8, count them, 8, plus a bonus, random facts to impress your friends with when you come to Edinburgh. Hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, as always guys, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Please remember to subscribe, or if you want to help the channel and essentially just help the Broonfords in general, please consider becoming a patron. We do a Zoom call every month. I had a Zoom call just on Sunday there with loads of patrons, and it's one of my favourite things in the world to do, to actually come on and see you face to face and chat to you. So if you want to become a patron, and you can join a Zoom call once a month and come say hi and ask questions in person, or just tell me about yourself, whatever you want, then consider becoming a patron. But I think we'll leave it there. Till next time, bye humans.